Big 12 Spring Business Meetings here with BYU Athletic Director Brian Santiago. Brian, I got to ask, what's been the response from your Big 12 AD peers here in Orlando as to you now settling in here, first time as the AD?
It's been, Mitch, it's nice to be with you. It's been super positive. It's nice to be welcomed into a room the way they've welcomed me. It started literally at the airport. Mark Harlan and I were on the same flight. Struck up conversation on the flight, and then afterwards he just couldn't have been more gracious and kind in welcoming me, and we had a good conversation. But it's really been like that with all the ADs. I've had most of them reach out to me and welcome me. I've been super fortunate to work for one of the best guys in college sports, and Tom Holmoe, who the last couple of Big 12 AD meetings had me come in his place, mostly because he was out of town and on business for BYU, and I was able to come. So I had a previous encounter and was able to meet a lot of the ADs previously, but their warmth and gracious welcome to me has been really nice.
Did that help? Just kind of feels like hits the ground running, where you already have a little bit of experience, some rapport with these ADs. Not that that's maybe necessary for the job, but it's maybe got to help, I think.
Yeah, I think it's super important. You know, we're super grateful to be partners with all the schools in the Big 12. You know, I mentioned as in the press conference, Commissioner Yormark has been incredible with BYU. We're super grateful to be part of a conference that is so forward thinking, that is so intent on being part of the future of college athletics, and to be partners with some of the great institutions in all of college sports and universities that represent so much good. It's a privilege, and we look at it and we're super excited and humbled to be in the room with these other great ADs, and then today to be in the room with some of the best coaches, men's basketball and women's basketball coaches in the country, and tomorrow we'll be with the football coaches, and it's a powerful room with a lot of the great coaches and men and women in college sports.
What's the most maybe forward-thinking idea or something that was presented in these meetings that you kind of were blown away by from today with the basketball meetings?
Well, I think if you start getting into specifics, there's a lot that was talked about today. The thing that we are most impressed with is Brett Yormark wants the Big 12 to be in the game, all the way in the game, starting at the top with football. What an incredible job the Big 12's done, and Brett has done bringing in some of the most powerful partners in sport, in all of our media partners. We just had presentations from the who's who of media partners in college sports. And to have all of those entities in the room and know that we're going to get that kind of exposure throughout the country and really throughout the world is really powerful. And we're just impressed with his ability, relationships to connect the Big 12 with the most powerful entities in sports.
And part of that media entity conversation, it's first year of a new media rights package for the Big 12, which means full revenue distribution for BYU. It's been kind of an escalator for the first couple of years. I think 18 million, then 19 million. What is that going to do to change? I don't know, change is the right word, but even elevate BYU athletics more with increased resources and revenue from media rights?
Yeah, the increased revenues and resources just allow you, as I said earlier, to stay in the game, be in the game, and to chase greatness. You know, it's very important to us that we stay nationally relevant. We've shown that we're nationally relevant across the board. We want to stay nationally relevant. We want to chase greatness. But the important part, Mitch, is we want to do it the right way, and we want to do it the BYU way. We're not going to shy away from the fact of who we are and our unique mission at BYU, and we're going to do things the BYU way. And that's tying in not only our chasing greatness on the field, on the court, wherever it may be, but really developing young men and young women of faith. The faith part of BYU is embedded in us, and we actually think it's our strength. And we are unique but we want to do it in a way where we're great partners. We want to elevate the conference along with these other great institutions, but we're going to do it the BYU way. And these added resources give us the opportunity to really be nationally relevant. And when we're nationally relevant and we do it the BYU way and we do it the right way, the world wants to know about our student athletes, and we can tell the story of our incredible student athletes and our incredible coaches.
Does the BYU way also now include paying top dollar for players and being right there? I know it's been pretty clear that not going to be the highest bidder. That's been the message.
Made clear.
But to match the highest bid, like, is BYU willing to do that if an athlete fits at BYU?
Mitch, it's a great question. We absolutely need to be competitive in the NIL space. And like you just said, we feel like we can attract the best student athletes, and we've shown that in the last year or two. Mm-hmm. Some of the best student athletes in the world without leading with money. We had AJ DeBanza and his family came to our campus 3 times. There was never a conversation about money.
So there was no discussion about NIL?
There was no discussion about it.
When did that?
They were coming because they were interested in the excellent coach. Mm. It's just like the same thing in football. They're interested in our coaches. They're interested in an environment where they can learn and grow, and for the holistic approach that we offer at BYU. But here was, the AJ example. Here's AJ coming with his family 3 times. His family came first to kind of see what BYU was all about. They had some relationships. They had some knowledge. They were going to Utah Prep Academy. So they were interested in BYU for what it is, what it stands for. And that's super important for us. We're not going to lead with money. We're going to lead and try to attract the very best student athletes that are interested in what BYU stands for, that are interested in our coaches that are going to help prepare them for the next level. But they kind of get the whole thing at BYU. But let's not shy away from the fact we are and will be competitive in the NIL space and in the revenue share space. We need to be, but we're not going to lead with money. And like you said, people are talking about it. We're not going to be the highest bidder, but we are going to be competitive in that space and attract the very best student athletes for what BYU is and what it stands for.
So and maybe this is just a hypothetical, but if a recruit just comes up and asks one of these coaches, what's the dollar amount going to be? You guys are not interested in that type of player?
Yeah, and then that's one of the reasons in my mind immediately goes to Kalani Sitake. I've heard him talk to families. I've heard him say to people, if money is the only interest in BYU, it's probably not the place for you. Our coaches lead out the right way. That's why I'm so confident in our ability to stay nationally relevant and do it the BYU way, is because I've heard those questions asked to our coaches, and the response has been just that. If that's the only reason, if you're just looking for the highest bidder, if you're just looking for money, BYU may not be the place for you. But if you're looking for all these other things, for us to help prepare you to take you to the next level, for us to give you an environment where you can learn and grow at one of the great academic institutions in the world, if you're looking for all the right reasons, all those things, this is the place for you. And on top of that, we're going to make sure you feel valued at BYU.
You mentioned something a couple weeks ago in your introduction. BYU was born to win.
Yeah.
It's an interesting comment, because you do look at every BYU sport, despite all the maybe perceived disadvantages of the past, BYU has broke the system in ways, but kind of broke the barrier of like pushing the envelope to win games. What does winning look like in the Big 12 in a power conference under your leadership as an AD? Is it being the top winning program on the Big 12? Like, what does this look like, the winning?
Yeah,
for
Mitch,
you?
We were born to win, not just in sport. We were all born to win in life. We're all destined for greatness if we choose that path. And winning to me is a lot about everything that comes along with it. It would be ignorant to not look at the history of BYU. Some of the greatest athletes in the history of sport, some of the greatest teams in the history of sport, some of the greatest coaches, legendary coaches in the history of sport. It would be ignorant for us to come in and say, hey, we want to succeed in all these other things and not chase greatness on the field or on the court. We can have both. We can do it at a high level. We've proven that we can do it. We've captured the attention of not only our Cougar Nation, we've captured the attention of the country. BYU is on the map. We were on the map before. We're going to continue to be on the map. We've won national championships. We've chased greatness in every sport. And we can do it, but we got to do it the BYU way, and we got to be excellent. Now, the question was asked, and I talked about this, and it actually comes from one of our great church leaders, President Eyring, who came and spoke to our coaches, and the question was asked, what is the expectation? And he said, to be excellent. And the coach said, well, what does that mean? He said, to be nationally relevant. But then he said, but to do it the right way. Because if we do that, and we're nationally relevant, and we do it the right way, and part of that is part of our mission of our school, then the world wants to know who we are. If we're not relevant, if we're not winning, nobody cares who we are. But when we're winning and doing it in the way we do it at BYU, it creates some excitement and some enthusiasm for a lot of people. And I've had people associated with BYU and not associated with BYU that love BYU because of the excellence that through the years, the quarterbacks, they talk about Steve Young, they talk about Ty Detmer, they talk about, staying up late at night early on. I've seen coaches here at the Big 12 meetings that have walked up to me and started asking me about former BYU athletes, former BYU coaches, and talked about their interest in BYU. So winning at BYU and winning championships is very important. But to do it the right way and develop young men and women of faith, if we do both of those things, it means more, and that's what we're chasing.
Winning championships is a hot topic around the country, and these spring meetings, the college football playoff in particular. Yeah. As the AD of a power conference conference institution, what's your preferred college football playoff setup that you feel like would be best served for the sport in college football?
That's a great question. Commissioner Yormark shared today a sentiment that I think we all feel strongly about. That we want to see what's very best for the game happen. We want to see the very best opportunities. We want to see what's showcased on the field rewarded, so that everybody has an opportunity to win championships. And we're really looking forward tomorrow to meeting with the football coaches as athletic directors and football coaches, with Coach Yormark at the lead, and talk through what we feel like is very best. But Commissioner Yormark made a statement today, and he's passionate about it, what he feels like is best for college football and best for the game. Like, we hope that the right scenario plays out that's in the best interest of college football and the best interest of college sports. And we feel confident that when this all resolves itself, and when people see the importance of what's best for the game happening, that people feel good about it. You want all the people that support it, all the stakeholders, to feel great about the college football playoff. And so we're really looking forward tomorrow to meeting with the football coaches and the ADs together and talking through what's very best and what we feel like is very best for the game.
What was it more centered around, at-larges or automatic qualifiers?
Just the equal opportunity across the board. Certainly you want conference champions to have an opportunity to be in the game, and then you want everybody else that deserves to be in the game to be in the game. That's what we want to see.
Another big topic is House versus NCAA, and I remember a year ago at this time in Irving, we talked with Tom.
Yeah.
Days after the proposal settlement came to be, and now a year later it's still not finalized officially. Does BYU still plan to pay out revenue distribution through Utah state laws? Or, I mean, how is that going to work until that settlement goes through when July 1st rolls around?
Yeah, we're all anxious to see how the settlement plays. There are a lot of ramifications to it coming to fruition. We've all been waiting. April 7th was a date that we all had circled, and now here we are on May.
Yeah, it's May 28th.
May 28th.
Yeah.
The settlement still has not been settled. It has ramifications on a number of fronts, so we're all just anxiously awaiting for it. But certainly, we're going to align. We're going to align with the Big 12, with all of the rest of college sports based on what happens with this settlement. We'll certainly align with all the laws of the state of Utah. We just want to make sure that we don't jump the gun. We got to wait to see how it plays out. And once it actually is settled, we've had great leadership from the Big 12 leaders in preparing us for this. We've been preparing for it for an entire year. We're well situated to move forward as part of this new revenue share. We'll see how it plays out, but we feel like we're well situated. We've had great leadership from the Big 12. President Reese is excellent and has given us great direction, and so we're ready, and we'll pivot when we need to pivot.
Will BYU hit that $20.5 million mark?
In this first year, we'll see how it plays, but that's why they say up to 20.5. We
Yep.
want to be competitive, but we're also going to stay within the kind of the bounds that we have at BYU. But it's always nice, there are a lot of factors, Mitch, that go into it. You've got Alston. I mean, I don't want to get into the weeds, but there's so many factors that lead into that up to 20.5. Sure. But what I will tell you is we're going to be very competitive in the space, and we're going to make sure that the revenue sports and the rest of our sports can be competitive nationally and be relevant. And it starts with football and basketball, and we're going to be very competitive in that space.
Well, I wanted to also ask too, you bring up the Olympic sports, what role do they hold in BYU athletics as far as taking that to greater heights, I guess?
If people have paid attention, we have remarkable Olympic sports. National champions, some great coaches, nationally relevant teams across the board. And we want to make sure that we give every one of those programs ample opportunity to be nationally relevant. That's our vision, to across the board have all of our sports chasing national relevance, doing it the BYU way. So we're going to be competitive in that space of revenue share so that our Olympic sports can succeed. We have to allow resources to flow so that we can chase excellence. You can't do it without resources. And our intention is across the board with all of our sports to give them opportunity to stay nationally relevant, those that are, and those that want to become nationally relevant to chase national relevance. But make no mistake about it, this revenue share and this settlement, the lion's share of the resources will go to football. That's the ship. Men's basketball and the rest of our Olympics. Men's basketball second, and the rest, because those are the two revenue sports. That's why it's called revenue share. Yeah. And then the rest of our sports, we want to keep them in the game. We want them to stay relevant, and we want them to chase their dreams too.
Do you think this revenue sharing will potentially prevent booster fatigue, where boosters feel like they have to? Because it seems like nationally that's a talking point of boosters feeling like they've had to pay for these teams. BYU has really stepped up and has got a very passionate fan base and booster base. Do you think that revenue sharing can prevent boosters feeling like, okay, enough's enough, or feel like they still feel engaged?
Yeah, we're so grateful to have one of the great fan bases, and Cougar Nation has been wildly supportive of BYU athletics. This transition to revenue share continues a great partnership. We are going to need our very best and our very faithful fan base to continue to be a part of BYU athletics and partner with us. We need resources, but there are also other ways, and it also ties back to Cougar Nation, because you've got to have revenue streams that can sustain the revenue share. A lot of people don't understand that $20.5 million or up to $20.5 million, there are a lot of people that think the NCAA is providing that. This is money that we've got to come up with. And so to be sustainable, you've got to come up with new revenue streams. You've got to be efficient in the way you run your athletic department. And a part of all those revenue streams, one of the main ones, in addition to football and basketball ticket sales, is you've got to have great conference affiliation, which is a big part of us being in the Big 12, provides that. And then you've got to have your key stakeholders and your donors and your corporate sponsors coming to the table and continue to partnering with you in even greater ways. And we're super fortunate and blessed to have some of the greatest corporate sponsors and greatest donors in all of college sports that are passionate about BYU. But one of the reasons they're passionate about BYU is because of the mission. And tying those things together, we feel like we're in a position of strength, and we're going to be able to sustain it for years to come.
How much of your connection to those corporate sponsors and boosters do you feel maybe helped you get the AD job?
Well, I like to think that relationships across the board matter.
Tom brought that up a bit in his tenure, where he defines success by relationships.
Yeah, relationships matter. Relationships are everything, and I have deep, meaning relationships with our coaches, with key stakeholders, with corporate sponsors. Through all these years, I've been at BYU for 27 years. I've been in college athletics. I've played collegiately. Relationships are everything. It's what we have to take away from this experience in college athletics. So through 27 years, yeah, some of my most valuable and valued relationships that I have in my life have come with relationships with student athletes and coaches, key stakeholders, sponsors, friends. And just to give some examples, Mitch, some of our former athletes that have become some of my dear friends, their children are now competing for us. I've been here long enough to see those relationships matter, but as I've mentioned before, what matters even more than what's happening on the field and what's happening on the court, those relationships run super deep. When you go to a graduation banquet and you hear two of our golfers that just were tremendous at the national championships stand up and not talk about winning golf tournaments, not talk about going to the national championships, talking about the 2 years of their life when they couldn't get the golf ball to go where it was supposed to go, where at a lot of places they just would have sent them out, thrown them to the curb, to talk about the darkest times of their lives, not just in sport, but in their life, having two coaches like Bruce Brockbank and Todd Miller carry them literally and walk the path with them, and then see them come back to where they're talking about their experience and the relationship they have with their coach, and that was the most meaningful thing they're taking with them. To me, that's what college sports is all about. That's why I'm in it. That's why I've chosen to stay in this space. I've had opportunities to go, but I've chosen to stay in this space because of the relationships and because BYU burns deep for me. But being in it with these coaches, student athletes, I mean, I saw Coach Rose the other weekend. We had that Fathers and Sons camp. We have 1,200 fathers and sons come from all over the country.
28 years. You were there, at the beginning, I believe.
I was there at the beginning, and that's something that I hold dear to my heart. But to have all those fathers and sons there, the relationships that are there, but to spend the weekend and see Coach Rose there with all of his kids and grandkids, like what we've been through together, that's why you do this. The relationships are what matters, right? And we know the pressures that are out there. If you don't have those relationships, why are we in it? And to see them, and I said it, and I'll say it 100 times, you're going to hear me say it. The reason I'm in this business is to help other people chase their dreams. It's never been about me. I don't want it to be about me. I don't want people talking about me. I want them talking about our coaches, about these student athletes, and about what's the greatness that's happening in this great institution and the church that we represent. That's why we do this, is to try to help everybody else fly. That's the only reason I do this, is I want to see other people fly. Because when they fly, just like as a point guard, when you make a great pass and you see somebody else finish, that's what's always given me satisfaction. I just want to see other people fly.
And it's great insight. And just to follow up, you were pretty candid a couple weeks ago at your introduction about detractors. Like, do you feel like that's kind of, it's been less detractors as you've settled in and people start to get to know you more in the spotlight role?
Listen, I've just always tried to do good and to do good for other people. And in life, people talk a little bit about me being competitive. We are in college athletics. I think it takes some competitive juice to climb to the top of the mountain.
Seeing these people here at the Big 12 meetings, they're some of the top people in college sports. You've got to be pretty competitive, I'd say.
If you're not in the game, you're not competitive, it's super hard to compete at the highest level. And yeah, I am super competitive. And I just hope that people have a chance to get to know me. People only see a certain side, but the people that know me through 27 years, the people that have walked the path with me, they know my heart, they know my soul. I just want to help people be great, and the relationships really matter to me. And I just hope people can see through time that we all go through a process of evolving and trying to be better, and I hope people can see that how deeply I care about our student athletes and our coaches. And the student athletes that I've heard from over the last 2 weeks, and the coaches that I've heard from, and the people around the country that I've heard from, it's been super humbling to just feel like people just pulling for me. And I just hope that those that don't know me as well will get a chance to get to know me, and then they'll realize, oh, he's in it for all the right reasons. And I got a note today from someone that I'd competed against in the past that just said, hey, just getting to know you a little bit over the last week or two, I'm all the way in your corner. We believe in where you're taking this athletic department. We now see that you were right in the trenches with Tom Holmoe for a reason, and there's great trust there. And I hope people just get to know that there's great trust in BYU athletics and the mission and doing things in a way that's going to bring Cougar Nation together. I always say, I just want to be united with Cougar Nation as we try to chase greatness.
Great stuff. A few more moments, Brian. I appreciate all this time. It's great. What's after you leave Big 12 spring business meetings here in Orlando? What will be on the agenda for you? Is it still how you rounding out the staff, deputy AD? What's on the to-do list for you?
What I'm really excited about moving forward, Mitch, is I'm excited to get back to campus and have some time to meet with all of our coaches, with all of the people that are in our athletic department, and to put together an executive team around me that is a team that's probably going to look a little different. I think the landscape of college athletics requires that we have the right people involved to spread some of the responsibilities. And we have some excellent people in BYU athletics. I tried to say this at the press conference. This wasn't Tom Holmoe and Brian Santiago building this greatness. We have an excellent team in BYU athletics. So I'm looking forward to going back, spending time with our coaches, with our athletic department personnel, putting together an executive team, a strategy team as we move forward that's going to help us maintain that excellence and to grow the excellence. And so that's the first item of business, make sure that I have time and that I'm able to spend one-on-one time with each of the key stakeholders in the athletic department.
Any goals for facilities that Tom and you had maybe visions of when you joined the Big 12 to carry out?
Yeah, listen, we've got to stay competitive. Again, we're not going to lead out with trying to keep up. What we're going to do is we're going to try to be competitive and stay in the game and make sure we provide our student athletes with world-class facilities so that they can continue to chase their dreams. You know, it's a big part of recruiting. When those student athletes come on campus, they're looking for the experience they're going to have, but they also want to know that they're going to have facilities and resources to help them chase their dreams. And we've got some, LaVell Edwards Stadium is one of the great venues in all of college sports. The Marriott Center, I don't know if it gets any better. We're adding on and pouring resources into baseball right now. We're building a new practice facility for baseball. We've got other facilities that are a little older that we're taking a look at. But yeah, we've got a great plan. We're partnering with the university and looking at some great plans into the future of upgrading some facilities. And we want our student athletes to have the very best experience possible. And part of that is making sure that they have facilities and resources to help them chase their dreams.
Last thing, Brian, and I know it's a sensitive topic, but I'd be remiss not to ask, just considering the nature of it last week with Jake Rzoff. What's the latest with Jake and his status with the school in regards to the civil lawsuit?
Mitch, it's a fair question. It's a private matter. The university made a statement, and Jake and his attorney have both released statements. And our responsibility is to care for our student athletes. Certainly, it's a tough situation. Be ignorant not to say it's a tough situation, but it's a private matter that's going to be handled privately. We just found out about it when others found out about it, and so we want to respect the privacy of Jake. We want to respect the privacy of the university. We want to respect the privacy of those involved as the matter gets worked out, and have full confidence that the right thing will happen moving forward.
Well, Brian, again, I could probably go on and on. I'm sorry that it took so much time, but it was a pleasure talking, and appreciate you speaking to fans here at the Big 12 meetings.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch.